And actually, before I get started, I took a training recently about how to incorporate people that aren't in the room on like phone bridge calls. So hello to the people on the internet. I know I can't interact with you or see you directly, but I appreciate you. So if we could get a round of applause for all of our NACIS members that couldn't make it, just to show them our support. Talk to you on Twitter, I guess. Okay, so as John said, my name is Brooke Harding, and I'm an institutional contractor for USAID's Office of Transition Initiatives. Get ready for a lot of acronyms. I'll try to explain them all. But I'm on our data analysis team where we do mapping and different graphics and visualizations for our field programs. So all of us are divided geographically. I support our Europe programs, which are currently Ukraine and Macedonia. And I'm going to talk about this internship program that we utilize through the State Department. There are some State Department colleagues here that also utilize this program. It's called the Virtual Student Foreign Service Internship. And it's something that anyone in the federal government can pitch an idea for an internship that would take place virtually. So say you don't have funding to have someone in-house, or you know people that are working on things at different universities, they can apply to this internship to help you out. So at OTI, we're really interested in the community level dynamics. And as everyone knows, in mapping, if you go to OpenStreetMap or Google or Apple Maps, the data's not always there. So especially in some of the rural places that we're working, data's not there. So the fastest way to get it is utilizing armchair mappers, which is what we did for this internship. So I'm going to quickly talk about where I work, what the internship program is, the syllabus, resources, and communication techniques that we use, and a little bit about our project. I won't have that much time because I know everyone's hungry to talk about that. So if you find me afterwards or at one of the social events, that would be awesome. Okay, so acronyms. USAID is the U.S. Agency for International Development, and within that is the bureau that I work under called DACHA, the Democracy, Conflict, and Humanitarian Assistance Bureau. That does a lot of, if you think about traditional aid, supply drops, or humanitarian response. But my office is a little bit different than that. The Office of Transition Initiative's mission is to help the U.S. meet its critical foreign policy priorities in places like Ukraine, Syria, Libya, and Pakistan, working to support countering violent extremism, peace, and good governance. OTI is in about 14 countries at any given time, so if you look at the map on the screen, the active programs are in the purplish pink color, and the orange programs are places that we've worked in the past. And just to give you an example of what our activities are like, it's often described as we're doing, not what we're doing, but why we're doing it. So an example I like to talk about is in Pakistan. The activity may be about building a well, but it's not the physical well that we care about, it's about the community coming together to do something that they care about and need. If that helps at all. So VSFS, the internship program, as I said, is run through the State Department. Anyone that works for the federal government can pitch an idea, and if your internship is accepted, you get thousands of people that are seeing all of these solicitations and apply to the programs. Normally about 350 projects are accepted with 750 positions. They are unpaid. However, a lot of people are students are able to get college credit, and we often write letters of recommendation, things like that. So if you are in the federal government or if you are a university professor, this would be a great way to send your students. And this is just to show you virtually where all of our interns were in our first iteration of the program. So our internship that we ran was called Mapping At-Risk Countries, where we said, help USAID map at-risk countries on OpenStreetMap.org, a free and open map of the world anyone can edit, no prior experience needed, which was really important because we didn't want to just get people that already had GIS experience. We wanted to get people that could take geography and cartography and use it in many different disciplines across their studies at university. So as I mentioned before, a lot of the countries that OTI works in are data deserts, and it's tough for, say, me as a GIS analyst to make a compelling product to talk about these things if the data is not there. So the idea was that we'd teach the interns about what we were doing in a specific country, and they would go in and map those areas for us, which sounds like a very one-sided relationship at first. So just to talk about that a little bit quickly, the first year we had 25 interns, and by the end we had about 12 who were really consistent and stuck with us through the entire year of the program. And what skills did we actually teach? Our overall objectives were to teach them how to edit, validate, and export data into OSM using ID Editor, JOSM, and QGIS to make a final map product. And that was not for us. The final thing for them was to do a mapathon in their university or in their community about something that they cared about, but they learned the skills to do that by helping us out. So that's what we did there. So the different things that we told them at the beginning so they knew what to expect. We gave them the syllabus, resources, and how we were going to communicate. The syllabus consisted of our learning objectives, course expectations, course completion requirements, course activities, and geographic areas of focus. We had a more detailed one for the instructors so that we could be a little bit flexible. This was our first time ever doing it, so we weren't sure how long things would take necessarily. People have different holidays off and things like that. We also provided a list of resources, which I'm going to tweet out later, but there's different things that the Red Cross has put out, Peace Corps, Teach OSM, like really good resources out there if you want to teach about how to do things in OpenStreetMap that are already there, as well as resources for them to learn about where OTI was placed in the US government and the things that we were working on. And communication expectations. So my team uses Slack, and I know a lot of people are on like 12 different Slack channels here probably, but we decided to use that as a way for students to engage with us and ask questions, as well as interact with each other. And one of the things actually that I'm really interested in learning from all of you that work with online courses is how you got people to interact consistently with each other, so that would be a great thing to talk about later. And then just the general workflow of how one of our projects worked. So we did backing up a little, we did a live lesson every week that was recorded and put online for people that couldn't make it during the actual time, because we had people, West Coast to England doing this, so there's not a convenient time for everyone. We did do a poll and there was just nothing anyway. So during one of the live lessons, we would explain the context of the specific country program that we were working on and what the project was going to be. And then they would do the remote tracing from wherever they were, and we'd give them about a week to do the tracing. Then the next week we would have them validate each other's work and kind of do some critiques back and forth. Then that information would come to me, and I would share it with our field team, who would provide some of the attribute data so that you would get more complete data on OpenStreetMap for everyone else to use. And then eventually there would be a final product, which I don't have time to talk about, but that's fine. The main takeaways. So if you are a government agency, this is a really awesome resource to use. The VSFS advisors have a toolkit ready to go. So if you have any mapping, graphic design, research, anything you need help with, this is awesome. And if you're a student or teacher, there are some great opportunities through VSFS, including mapping and just exposing people to a whole range of things that maybe they didn't know was possible. When I attended NACIS as a student, I never thought that I would end up working in the government. I didn't really know what different agencies were doing in international development. I just knew that I wanted to travel for work. So if you know anyone that kind of has a similar mindset, send them in this direction so they can at least try it out for themselves from their home, maybe where they're comfortable at. And finally, I'm not a teacher. I have no teacher training. So I would love to talk to more people who have done MOOCs or any online sort of education to talk about best practices and things like that. And if you'd like to hear more about the actual mapathons that were put on and the products or things that came out of that, I'd be happy to share. So that is all. Thanks.